every day, every second of every day. If I come on, she knows and she's watching. She's watching now. She's obsessed. What you've got to ask yourself is, why are these women obsessed with me? Is there a secret, like, desire to watch me? Would they watch me all the time if I was a woman, for instance? I wonder. She's a dangerous woman, this Lizzie. She said that I've got a child that I'm not allowed to see because I'm danger to children. She said that on her channel. And yet she asked me not to monetize McCann videos, and she thinks she can order people around me to get me to do stuff. Well, I don't listen, Lizzie. I do what I want to do. Why don't you just get lost? Stop pestering my people. Just get lost. We don't want to talk to you. We don't want to hear from you. You have no power over me. You think you have power over me because of what you do, but you don't at all. I mean, like, why have a channel that just hates somebody? If somebody wants to watch me, they're not going to listen to some old idiot called ID, are they? Oh, IDEO. IDEO says I'm not allowed to watch you. Oh, right. Doxy, Heidi tried to contact you. What for? To tell you not to support me? Why does she do it? Why is she donating her life to me? It is a joke, isn't it? It is a joke, really.
Hi, everyone. I think before I go any further, I'm just going to play one more clip.
I don't like powerful women, I'll tell you that.
He doesn't like powerful women. I don't know what he classifies as powerful, but anyway, welcome everyone. And I just love, I mean, that clip, I just love. I mean, I'm dangerous. Oh, whatever. Anyway, today I'm welcoming Robin and Chris, two ex-mods from, I'm going to call them mods. I'm not going to call them spanners. Two ex-mods from AD's channel. And welcome, Robin.
Hello.
And welcome, Chris.
Hey, everybody.
That's good. Everybody's here. Before we get into talking to them about what they went through while they were modding for him on his channel, I just want to go through a few things previously. I actually did write them down, but whether I can read them or not, I don't know. But ultimately, I entered this community not because of anything to do with the Watts case. I didn't know about the Watts case. And what it was he had violated an unspoken rule in the Maddie community that he was making money from Maddie. And that was because there were translators that for 4 years translated the Portuguese files for us. And for us to go and make money from their hard work, it just was never thought of. Plus, we didn't want to make money from Maddie. So I learned about the Watts case while I was checking into this. And I absolutely support the family and how he's been abusing them. No question on that. Now, my one goal when I came over here, I'd made a promise to a few people, I think there may be one or two in here, to see if I could stop him making money from Maddie. And it's taken 4 years, but ultimately, thanks to Chicken Lady, I think what he's saying is she's one of his people. And that made me laugh. He's got people, you know. And she did manage to talk to him and ask him to remove the monetization and all the links. And thanks to the mods and admin of his channel, they don't put any links or anything on the chats if it's a Maddie video. So I really appreciate that. That was my goal accomplished. Sadly, one of the people that I'd promised passed away on the same day that happened, and Leslie White will remember you. The next thing is check out my notes. Is that, as everybody knows, I've got the No Hate group. It's called No Hate, Just Exposing Armchair Detective Lies. And the reason that is because, to me, it's really important to not give him ammunition. Once he took one of my videos, which, for a reason I won't go into, had something on it that wasn't exactly good, but he focused on that. Never mind everything else that we've discussed. Ammunition is horrible. And right now, with the case going through, now we don't know where it's at. We don't know what's happening, but we have to know that anything that any of us do to give him ammunition is going to be used against us in the court case. It's just, let things happen right now. Let it lie until we hear about what's happening with the court. That's all I can say. I know in No Hate, it's really important to me that I try to make sure everybody is respectful. It doesn't always happen, but we can't be perfect. And be factual. Make sure that everything you claim is factual. Now, I posted last night, there is questions as to whether or not he's in Malta. Everything leads us to believe it's a possibility. That being that he hasn't done a painting in 2 days. His little blue dot on his channel is not showing. He disappeared and wasn't on for a couple of nights. But a couple of days ago, I'd actually posted, I didn't think he'd go. I really didn't think he'd have the volume of money that he usually has. And I didn't think he'd be so stupid. I mean, you'd have to, here he is begging from his donors, his supporters for money, and begging, and then they find out he spent their money on going to Malta for a poker tournament, spending thousands. It really is. It's now he'll say, oh no, that was money I'd saved or whatever. But we all know, if you've given money to him in the past month or whatever, then you know that he's got it in his pocket. For now.
Or he won a pass. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's what we were always told, is he won a ticket to play. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that happened in a previous Malta. And they play a satellite and then they can win a thing. You have to pay to enter that, but it still just gives you, I think, 3 days in a hotel. And I think in that case, he was there for 3 weeks. So the rest of the time he had to pay. But I do, before we get on to Robin and Chris, sorry to keep you waiting, guys. But there's one more thing I want to say, is that the reason I made that post, or reason I commented that I didn't think he'd go, because he's used to having a lot of money. And it went downhill. He was, and I have shown examples of how it was in March of 2021, when he was making close to, is that the one? He was making close to 25,000 a month. And you can look at those figures and you can't dispute them. We don't know exactly, but they're pretty factual. And even if you take away some of it, it's likely. Now, then it went down to This was June of 2022. And I figured he was probably gone down to about 10,000 every month. And he slowly went worse than that until Nicola Bully came up. And once he started getting the Nicola Bully monetization, he's put in, thanks Mike for adding them up, he's put in, I think, 68 videos of Nicola Bully, and he's getting monetized for those. And one actually got 100,000 views, which is worth about $500 just for that one video. So since Nicola Bully disappeared, may she rest in peace, he's made close to 5,000, something in that region. I don't know exactly. That's $5,000. Every month, he has at least 100 patrons, maybe 200 or 300. We can't see right now, but that would give him about 2,000 to 3,000 every month. So we've got the 5,000 from Nicola. We've got the 2,000 to 3,000 every month. Over the course of 3 months, that's 6,000 approximately, maybe more, maybe less. I couldn't add up all the super chat that he's had, and I haven't had time to do a graphic, otherwise you'd be watching it right now. But I did go back to when he did the free speech a couple of weeks ago, and he's had approximately 1,500 in super chat. And I think I missed another one where there was 300. So he's got lots of super chat. The monetization probably for this month for Nicola was about 2,000. So he got that. I think it was issued a week or so ago. And the Patreon comes out in a few days. So this is apart from his pension. I mean, he's got a pension as well. And I think what bothers me more than anything, I'm on pension. That's all I have. I don't have any other income, just a pension. I make it do. But there's a lot of women that support him are also on pension, and they're trying to send him money because he's begging, he needs it. And that I just think is to use vulnerable women like that is just awful. And that really, I think, bothers the most of us. But anyway, I wanted to get all that put aside. So I hope that everybody can remember to keep our credibility. We don't want to give him ammunition. Otherwise, it reflects on us all. We all look stupid if one person gives us ammunition. And I certainly, in no hate, I do try to make sure that everything in there is factual. And I did make an apology until I don't know if he's at Malta right now. I haven't seen actual proof. So I did put a hold on a thread that I have. I won't know until after we finish this live, when he goes on to his Blue channel at 5:15. And we won't know till then if he's in Malta or not. Or at least maybe not even Malta, maybe away from from harm. So that's how it stands. And I don't like to say he is in Malta because I haven't seen proof. I think probably he is, but we don't know. Anyway, okay, that's me all done on that. So Chris and Robin, I'm really happy for you to be here. You've been on a few channels before and told us some of the things that you go through. And it's hard for a lot of people to believe that as a mod, you go through such a lot, right?
I know personally I did. I know Chris did. Basically, all of us did in one way or another way.
Yeah, and I think his mods now, an admin, I don't think are any different, to be honest. I think he's leading them a dog's life to be. I don't know. Maybe he's lovely to them. Maybe he's empathetic. Maybe he's saying, okay, you take the day off, I'll do all the work today. Somehow I don't think so. I think they are working their guts out to help him. And
see, that's what was different with us. one main person got everything for him. And a lot of times we didn't even know. Like when we first started, or when I first started, we would know what the show was about. And then it got to the point that we didn't know what was going on or what the show was even going to be about. But I know that I didn't do any footwork. I possibly couldn't. Back then I was caring for my dad and my special needs brother and working. I possibly couldn't. And I don't think you did you, Chris? You didn't.
No, I didn't.
Any
research or anything for
no
him.
research or anything like that. We didn't do.
We were
Okay,
mainly-
there's one video that I would like to play, if you don't mind. And it's one, do you remember when you left, Robin? The repercussions? And that nasty...
I heard about it. Actually, for the first bit, I ended up hospitalized, and it's a long story, but it took me a year, even over a year, to get over what I went through. And what threw me over the edge is after I'd left and I had seen that nasty thing come up, that what he was looking up, and I felt so filthy and I felt so dirty.
Oh, and you're talking about the Google search.
Yeah, and I mean, when I tell you, I bathed and bathed, and I just felt so dirty, like sickening. And that's when I had lost it. But I did go, and I heard that I got a threat.
Have you ever seen the threat?
No.
Okay, I edited it slightly. Would you mind if I put it on, or do you want to go out?
I'm going to mute it. I'm going to mute it because I get triggered, believe it or not. But go ahead and do it.
Okay, are you sure that's okay with you?
I'm positive. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is what he is like. This is the real person. And after Robin and Chris and everybody else put all their effort into helping him, being there whenever he wanted them, this is what Robin was subjected to, which thankfully she didn't see. That's why I asked her. I wasn't sure. And thank her for letting me play it, because I think it's important that you see the real him, the vicious, nasty person he is, because he's scared of anybody telling anything about what he's like.
Anyways, I thought I'd start off with a little story for you about a country girl, Country C. That sounds good, doesn't it? CC, Country C, yeah. There's an ex-mod walking around the streets of YouTube, ex-mod of ours, Country something, telling lies. Like she needed therapy to get past being a mod for me because of abuse. What abuse? I never even speak to them. I never speak to my moderators. You can ask any of them, any of the old ones. I don't speak to them. I do it for a reason. I don't want to speak to anybody who might turn on me, like this one did. Now, abuse, my backside, paid me. She never paid me a penny. And it had a spike when I found the shadows. Be careful with your new friends. They'll stab you in the back. They already have. Your new friends are using you and laughing at you. You should see the names they call you behind your back. We've seen them and they're not nice. I'm not going to repeat them. So you better watch out. You're being watched. So stop your claiming, go away. And we don't want to hear any more about you, and I won't say any more. If you continue on the streets and these channels, I will tell them more about you. That'll do for now. Country. I'm going to wind your neck in, because I'm happy to tell the rest of the stories. Right? That's you dealt with.
How
Well,
dare
I
you?
listened to it because I didn't know how to mute it.
Oh,
And
geez, I'm so sorry,
that's
Robin.
okay. No, that's okay. He never like physically hurt me.
No,
And when I was modding, he was never mean to me. It's the stuff that he was doing that affected me. So let him wring my neck in. I
The
mean,
manipulation and the lies that he would tell us, and telling us things like, he had throat cancer and stuff like that.
because, we tried, like, we caught on long ago, but every time, I mean, the first time, I think he started to walk through these weird lights. And that was like the first signal for me, okay, something is not right.
yeah.
And then, but no, like he was always kind to me.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't listen to me or us, but he never called me a name, or he was never nothing like that. No.
I wouldn't imagine. I think maybe where I was heading with that is the volume of work that he gives other people to do and then claims it as working 20 hours a day. I think things like that really,
That
really.
is a lie. That is,
Oh,
yeah,
I
that
think
I
we all
know.
know that. I mean, his current mods and admin, I'm sure that they do 90% of the work. Maybe he just puts videos together or whatever, but they do the work. And I mean, can you imagine? These are people that are working for him voluntarily. And this is why he made that video against you after you left. Notice he said he doesn't talk to his mods because in case they leave and speak or whatever. Like, if he didn't do anything, they wouldn't have reason to say anything against him. So he knows. He knows exactly that he is really hurting people. And Chris, you had real problems once you left as well, didn't you? What was it actually doing to your life at the time?
Just give me just 1 second. I'm sorry.
No, of course. Yeah, Chris was telling me, telling us in one of the previous lives that I've seen, that you both had really suffered. It's hard to explain. Like you say, he was nice to you, but there was the repercussions of working for him.
It
Doing
was
his work.
the guilt. The guilt gets to you. And for me, it was, my whole life had changed when I left my home to come and care for my daddy. And my life consisted of, and it still is, because now I'm caring for my special needs brother, but it consisted of leading a life of being lonely. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. And, with my husband, he was a detective. I was always into crime. And that's how I found him. And I literally thought he was a true detective. I truly, I did. But,
He did. A lot
it
of people did
affected
think that.
me horribly, because you get so pulled in and so wrapped in, and you think you're fighting for a good cause. You really think you are. And I'll be honest, I thought that the other woman was involved. And I just from the past experience, like from some of the cases my husband had did. So I don't know, I just got pulled in. And you get pulled in, and you're thinking that you're doing right, but looking back, all the damage I did, and then it hits you all at once, and you realize what a horrible, horrible person that I had become to believe such stuff. And then even after I realized it, I still stayed. And I stayed because my friends that I talked to were the other moderators, you
Yeah.
know. I
It's tough. It's
it,
tough leaving a
it's
community
really
like that.
tough, and I don't know. I look back now, and I was telling Chris today that the one thing, you know, a lot of good has come from it. I have learned that time is so precious, and all the time. I mean, there'd be times I'd get off work and I'd have to pay extra for the nurses that would sit with Dad. And because the time difference was so different, I'd get off work and I'd literally have to mod out in my truck. And I couldn't, in the winter, I couldn't turn on the truck because it'd make air. So I'd sit there and freeze for a couple of hours and then head up the canyon to
And
go
when
home.
you, at that time, when you were doing Patreon, when you were modding Patreon, you had to pay, right?
Yeah, yes. Now, at first, I didn't because I would get sent the link. Like, we'd have a link, and I'd get sent the link so I could get in. And that's when the people who had been with us a while, they couldn't afford it. And so we would sneak the link that got me in,
Get
and
up.
we'd give it to the other people because, you know, they were big supporters. They gave a lot of money sometimes, and sometimes the biggest supporters that were there faithfully couldn't afford to give it. And they wanted to hear what was happening in Patreon, so we did that. But if I just look back and think I wish I would have never done it because that's more time I could have spent with my dad. You know, he's passed on, and I, you know, it was bad at the time. And at my age, I didn't think I'd have any lessons to learn. But boy, you know, sitting on YouTube and hours after hours. When I first started, we used to have to wait for him on Thursday nights because that was his poker night with his
Oh, yes.
friends.
Yes. And you know
And
what?
we'd get
you
on
know,
and we'd wait and wait and wait, and he'd never show up. I mean,
there is a video that he made on Facebook because I think at the time he was maybe taken down. It was July of 2019, maybe. He made a video on Facebook. How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? It was very easy for me to just look on his local poker tournament thing, and he didn't miss any. Well, I think he missed about 3. And then there was a couple that he missed in the local tournament because he went to Malta. But he didn't, all the time he's saying, how am I going to pay the rent? I don't know if you remember that one.
well, the heat, because I sent him money for that because I was new, and here I'm working my butt off, you know, trying to care for Dad, trying to keep up my house, trying to keep up Dad's house.
And
And he's telling me
volunteering.
he doesn't have heat. He doesn't have heat.
Volunteering for him, doing the
Yeah.
best you could. And Chris, are you back now?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Quite all right. Quite all right. I appreciate you being here. I know you've just picked up your little ones from school, and it's before lessons a bit later, right? But you've come in for a little while, and I really appreciate that. And as I was just saying, I remember you saying, not only Robin claims, says that she went through therapy afterwards. Some people might laugh at that, but when you've been through the pressure that you've been through on his channel, I think you went through some stuff too, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And it took me a long time as well to move past it. I mean, and a lot of people don't realize is like doing things like this can kind of take you back to a dark place.
Yeah, that's what Chris and I talked about before we come on, that the triggers, you even watch, like, I don't have time to get on anymore, and it became a habit not to get on because my psychiatrist told me not to get on, but just the little clips I see here and there, and I
feel
hear
bad
the
about
voice,
that.
it
I'm
triggers me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
I wouldn't have played it if you said you couldn't
No,
move.
that's okay. And I'm stronger than what I thought I'd be.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
yeah, I'm stronger than I thought I'd be.
But
Yeah,
do you feel that his current mods are going through something similar?
I haven't never went back to the channel, but a leopard doesn't change its spots, and I would assume that none of them are getting paid. And when he wants something done, by heck, you jump and you do it. I'm sure. I mean, I can't say because I've never watched his channel or ever gone back.
I
I
just
only see the bits and pieces what I get, like from your Facebook, and once in a while the truth channels will come up and put up something like the paintings. I had to laugh with that one, but really it's sad because
what I
people are
found is
buying them. And
what I found is sad is that when somebody wants to do art, it's their passion. They want to do it. They want to express themselves. They want to show to other people how and give them what they've expressed. He's not doing that. He's like, boom, boom, boom. How much money can I get for this one? Boom, boom, boom. How much money can I? There's no passion. And art.
no, my daughter's an artist, and she's had that passion since she could color, and it's something that comes within. And it is something that I don't know. I just don't know. I know people can pick up hobbies and you can learn to paint and have that passion on later in life, but there's
he's doing
always
it for
a
money.
reason behind something that he's doing.
And it's money.
I
It's
think it
money
would be
and-
great if he painted and said, I'd like to donate this for all the paintings. Let's give this to the Cancer Foundation, the Pet Foundation. Just there's a million things that he could do good if he's selling them.
But
I
Robin,
mean,
right now, what he wants everybody to believe is he's putting his heart and soul into his painting because he's got a court case happening, and that court case involves money. And
is that why he's painting?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's selling them to make money for his court case. And he's
What
just
happened to the long time ago? I watched one that said he had the money, or he's got
yeah, Robin, you haven't been around for a long time.
No, I haven't.
He had 5,000 in there. I know that he didn't use it all, and he's never given us. That was for his defense for the court case. Finally, the court case is going through, and it's got to a point where he has to make some kind of decision. Now, I don't know if what the things are, what they're asking of him, and I don't know the dates or what's happening, but it is going through. It is going through, and that's why he's doing all this painting, trying to gather up all this money from everybody. One supporter gave him $500 for one of his little paintings.
So basically, he took that money more than likely. I can't say or prove it with a fact, but I would think that's what he used to play poker with.
Put it this way: any money he has, he shouldn't be wasting. And
I wouldn't if I was being sued.
No, Chris, when you were actually with him, how was it affecting your family?
Well, it was taking away a lot of time from my family because we, the mods and stuff, we would always be trying to get ready for the shows and trying to figure out what was going on. And,
yeah, it just wasn't the show, was it, Chris? It was talking hours before the show and hours after the show what just happened.
Yeah, and discussing, just basically we were always scrambling to try to figure out what to do because we always felt like he was doing the wrong thing. We just wanted him to do the right thing and be moral. And So we were all, it just took up all that time away from my family and my kids and modding and just being a moderator for him. It takes a lot of time away from your family.
Well, it does, because at one time he was doing it 3 times a day, wasn't he? He had 3 lives, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the evening. That's
Yeah,
a lot
he
of
did.
lives.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And like his early mornings, well, when he did it, it was total opposite time. So it'd be like 4 o'clock in the morning at my time, and then have to try to get up at 3:30, 4:30, take care of Dad, then do the morning show. And I enjoyed the morning shows. That's when it was fun. Like, I don't know, those just seemed to be fun before he got into the greed and
And the weird stuff. Once he
the
started,
really weird stuff. Like,
yeah. I mean, and
No.
the thing is that I've noticed is he's very, very, I don't know whether the word is clever or cunning, but he will never do anything himself. And therefore, he never has to be accountable, because he'll always say, somebody else, it was, look at something he just said, I think this week. He said, he said, somebody advised me not to worry that there wasn't going to be a court case, not to worry. He said, and I believe them. And that was the wrong thing to do. And he says, now I regret it, because I could have had lots of money by now if I'd have really thought there was going to be a court case. That was a total lie, because there is a video, which I'm not sure who put out. I think it was TJ, or Undercover Mother, where Bubbles is telling him, okay, we're opening up this Fundly, and everybody is sending the money for legal defense, etc., etc. But I mean, this thing is still open. I don't totally understand, because it shows the owner as deleted owner, and there's still money going in it. So I don't totally understand that.
I don't either. That boy, I knew who Bubbles was because I was on Bam's channel talking, and Mr. Ruzak had shown up, and I was pleading with her to please, care about the family. And he was on Bam's channel. He came out of the blue.
Yeah.
And she just wouldn't she wouldn't listen. And
I don't think you were on there when were you on it, Chris, when he had David what's his name, the sex offender on, and he was in sympathy with him. He had more empathy for that man than he's ever had for any of the victims of the crimes. In fact, he's shown us how little empathy he's got. But boy, when it came to David, I can't even remember his name. David, what's it? He was so empathetic about what he'd been through in prison, and he was trying to get everybody to send him pen pal letters and giving their addresses.
Ooh, that's disgusting.
To this sex offender. It was totally outrageous. He was suggesting, and the others were agreeing, Bubbles and I think Joe the Cat were all agreeing, yes, we can arrange to have you send pen pals.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Maybe I blocked it out. Maybe there's a lot that I
Bubbles,
blocked
you probably
out.
weren't there. Same as you, Chris. You weren't there then, were you?
No, and I wasn't even watching any of his stuff at that time, but somebody sent it to me saying, can you believe this is going on? And the main point that they wanted to get across to me was that Bubbles was almost putting blame on the victim of the 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, I've got it.
I went back and listened for myself, and sure enough, that's exactly what she did.
That is horrible. It sounds like it's got worse than it has got any better.
So
Well, I think there was one live that Bubbles was on, and I don't even want to go into detail about what she was saying about Shanann. I think it was Shanann that she was saying it. I don't think it was about the young girl. She was using words and twisting the words to make Shanann look bad. It's horrible, horrible what she did.
That's awful. I do know that, and Chris, I believe you was there. This is one thing that sticks out in my mind is when he did a fundraiser, and now I remember her name, like I just hit a blank earlier, but for Nicole Atkinson,
Yeah.
Shanann's friend, and we all had thought that money had gone there, but people started to come in the chat and ask for proof. Where is that money? And so us mods are all chatting and telling him, do you remember that, Chris? He better do a donation and show a receipt right now. You do it. Like we were
foundation.
texting him and telling him, you better do it now because something now is better than nothing. Because, you know, we had all thought that she had got it. It's been long gone, done, over with. Like we had no part in knowing any of that stuff. We just assumed it was done.
I
And
personally don't remember that. You see, he was saying, I watch him every single night. Well, you know what? I record him every single day. I don't necessarily always watch him. But obsession, it's not obsession. It's because I have every single video that he's done in the last 4 or 5 years. Because when a court case comes up, I've got what they need. That's why I did it.
good for you. There's just, I don't know. I guess the breaking point was the letters. We were told that there was 100 letters and
400 actually, he said.
And then it went down to lower and lower, and then there was none. I don't know what happened after that because we had quit. But that, and you know, we had been doing this, Chris, for seriously, like since the throat cancer, all of us are gonna quit. We're gonna quit.
Can I ask you something sorry to interrupt, but can I ask you something regarding this throat cancer issue?
Yeah.
I saved every clip that he did from the December when he first got his throat thing. And then all of a sudden on December the 22nd, hey, he won a tournament. His voice was no problem then. And then it got worse and worse and worse until he tried to make everybody believe it was throat cancer. And then it was this, and then it was his teeth, right through till when he said that his doctor, because of his throat, his doctor suggested he went to somewhere warm. Which
that made no sense to any of us, like none of us at all.
It wasn't.
And we're thinking, you know, if you got cancer, you know, my mother died of cancer. Like, why aren't you starting treatment? Or I don't know. That was the beginning. And then from there, it was like every night, okay, let's not show up. And I think one of the times none of us did show up to punish him, but that was before Chris was there. I think what had happened is he left us holding on a Thursday night without no call. We're texting him. We're like, where are you? You're supposed to be going on. And he never showed up. So to punish, we thought, okay, when he does his show, none of us are going to show up. None of us. But I think we did that once, and I think I ended up giving in and going in halfway.
Well, there was times actually. There's one, I do have the video clip, and it's hilarious. It was when he was downloading Harley's video that he'd done that day at his funeral.
He didn't go.
I know he didn't go, but he makes everybody think he did.
Believe that he did.
And he was trying to do that. And on this video, he must have called out for a spanner 20 times and nobody was going.
I think that might have been the time. Then maybe it was that time, because we were upset. We were mad.
And I think quite often, I think you also said at one point, Robin, that you were on the road and he couldn't get anybody to come and help, and you finally gave in.
Yeah, I did.
I think you were avoiding him for a while, right?
Yeah, Chris started to not show up quite a bit at the end.
Yeah,
but me, I was so drawn in, and I've got the personality and a heart of gold that I'll help anybody and everybody. But, you know, my psychiatrist watched a ton of his videos to understand, because I felt guilty for leaving. I felt guilty for the things that I did. I felt guilty for staying. I was so confused, and it's just like a form of brainwashing, and he's very good at it. He's a very likable person. You know, people are drawn to him, especially American women, because of his accent.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. He's very clever or cunning in certain ways. He won't take the blame for anything. He gets everybody to do something for him. And then when it comes to the end of the day, and this was one thing I'm curious on, there's been a couple of times he's made mistakes with things. Whoever's given him the information has given him wrong information. And I'm really curious whether he really gets mad with them or whether he does what he should do and take responsibility, because it's his channel, the same as if any of my mods did something that I wasn't happy about. I would not question it because they're doing their best.
I think they'd give him the right information, and he changed it a lot of times and put a spin on it. Do you feel that way, Chris?
Yes, I think he was given a lot of shows and different types of shows that he could do, but then he'd always go off and do his own thing.
Yeah, we gave him ideas of like a million and one things to do. Like I came up with once a week, let's do a mystery crime night and do a story and figure out, you know, lighten up, and not always the Watts. There was so many things. And remember the dog handler guy, Chris, that lives here in Utah, that lives like.
Are you talking Jeff Young?
Yeah.
Lovely man.
A wonderful guy. And people got to him. And of course, guess who was asked to contact him and try to get him to like come back, and it was me. And he just said he doesn't want a thing to do with the channel. And
you know why? Do you know what happened in between?
That I don't know. I know that he's a good man, a very good man, and very well known here in Utah. But I don't know.
He came on at Christmas time, and while he was on with another lady from Britain, he Frank tried to get into chat and was deleted. I was actually recording. I didn't see this happen. I was just grateful that I had recorded it, because what happened, Frank came in and he was deleted. So Frankie came in and asked, why was my dad deleted? And that was deleted. And it continued for the next little while, where everything that Frankie said, which was not rude, was deleted. And anybody who was asking, why are you deleting Frankie's comments, they were deleted as well. It went on for a little while.
Yeah, well, Is that a second time? Because that happened while I was there too.
Yeah, that was probably when you were there. And meanwhile, it was Jeff and this other woman. But what happened, Frankie got on his channel and said, said his piece during that time. But then it was, there was a whole lot of aggro because of it. He blamed it on 200
Trolls coming in and invading.
impregnating his life. Well, it wasn't. It was his own.
It wasn't.
His own supporters asking why he deleted Frankie. And I've got it all. I've got the whole chat. You can see how as soon as Frankie spoke, it was deleted. As soon as somebody asked, why did you
He was deleted, and then we'd go back and put him back on, and then he was deleted again, and we'd go back and put him back on. And at first we were told to keep him off, but then we'd sneak and put him back on. But AD was quicker than we were. And so, yeah, like.
Yeah, well, he says he doesn't delete. But yeah,
Now,
as I was saying,
he's better than we were.
Yeah. I was going to say about Jeff is what happened. That was the Christmas. Then a couple of months later, we had the CSI lady on. You know, the one who claims that NK did the whole deed herself. Disgusting. And she was on. And meanwhile, Jeff was watching. And she was not giving the correct information. So he felt compelled to get on and correct her, which he did. She disappeared off because I think she had technical problems. So Jeff spent the next hour explaining to AD about how the dogs work and that it is possible. He actually had AD saying, it's possible then that somebody could have died in the house. And Jeff said, yeah, it's absolutely possible. Do you know what? He deleted that hour or whatever it was and told Jeff, well, Jeff told me afterwards, he said he told me he was making a separate video. No, he didn't. He deleted it. I'm probably the only person that's got that hour, and continued his narrative of no one died in the house.
Was that after we were gone?
It was when the CSI lady, it may have been.
Yeah, like I say, I blocked so much out, and there's just a few things that stick in my mind. But
what's the biggest thing to you, Chris, that you can remember? Maybe there wasn't any.
Well, this has been so long ago. That's what people don't realize, is that we've been gone and moved on with our lives, for a long time now. So it is really hard for us to remember certain things. We just remember terrible effect that it had on our lives. And one thing I do want to say, the biggest thing for me is that there's people out there that get obsessed with certain cases. And there was a lot of interest and obsession in the Watts case, and he uses that obsession to make his money by throwing in other things like, oh, they're trying to take my free speech. So how long has he been going on about, they're trying to take my free speech? He was doing that.
It's not free speech.
And
well, apart from, as you can explain. Right? About free speech. That's something you're passionate with.
Oh, yeah. My son died fighting for those rights. Well, the rights were already there, but he still fought. And Chris has a lot of family too. And so when they started to say, he can't talk about it, that kind of affected us. But then after looking back, I understand it's okay to have free speech. It isn't okay to twist a story and make up lies. That you can't do.
Yeah, but what he's claiming, he's never really, I know there's Frankie and the court case. That's a totally separate thing to what I am doing, because like I say, when I came over to this community, it was about Maddie, and that did ultimately get accomplished thanks to Chicken Lady. But it what I started to see was just outrageous of how he was talking about NK, and this is where he gets so cunning, is he will never actually accuse her, but he spends 99% of the time explaining why she should be questioned, and that why is that because she's involved, but he will never say that she was involved. He's so careful with how he words everything. He's very clever in that respect, cunning, whatever.
Sly as a fox, as my doctor said. Very sly as a
He's-
fox.
And from that initial video to that clip that I played before I came in, I mean, why has he suddenly started on me? Why? We've had no hate for 2 years.
To get the attention off of himself.
Well, yes, but I think
It's
I
for the
think-
money. He's throwing a pity party for the money. It brings in the donations.
yeah, but why has he ultimately chosen me and decided to put me down as a person, called me dangerous and evil? Oh, what's it? I mean, feel
Because
free
you're
to-
his biggest threat. Because you
He-
tell
he
the
can
truth
call
and
me
you have all the
whatever-
proof.
He can call me whatever he wants. In fact, anybody can call me what they want, because to me, if you want to accuse me of something, and if I'm guilty, I will apologize or change. But if I'm not, then it's their issue. So basically, because he was saying all these things about me, crikey, most people know me. How many of those things that he called me am I? I'm
None.
just an old lady sitting there.
But usually, like when somebody, you have all the facts, you've never posted anything that is untrue.
Exactly.
And he's threatened by that.
You've hit the nail on the head there, because that's exactly how could he come after me under normal circumstances because of anything I've done? Because most of what I do is working on facts and
all facts, every bit of it.
and good estimation for reasons. And he's claiming it's all about free speech, but this isn't about free speech. What we are after him for the most part, is the abuse, the manipulation, the greed.
And it's not even the poker. We could care less if he plays poker. I mean, everybody has a hobby, but don't give pity parties and make people feel bad for you for one reason, to support your habit.
Exactly. Yeah. I couldn't care less if he plays poker. And I've said before that, some people, and I understand, they're upset if we discover where he is. But we're not trying to discover where he is for any stalking reasons.
Nobody cares. You just want to point out that that's where.
We're trying to prove that he's lied about where he was, because he'd say, "Oh, I was, doing this," or "Chicken Lady was sick, so I needed time off." I mean, using other people to gain that sympathy for being off for a tournament, an excuse, it's just wrong. It is wrong.
And
so when he did start admitting to poker, but he was still looking for donations, and I think the people that have donated generously, more than generously, that's their prerogative. If they want to give their money, but he needs to tell them, okay, like last week, he should have said, okay, I really need the money for the legal fees. And actually, if you go back, he did actually say, but I need a holiday and I might go on holiday. So he actually did say what he was going to do. But they need to know what they're giving the money for. That's the whole thing,
Yeah, I just think that he's afraid somebody's going to come across your page and see these things. So if he can convince people ahead of time that you're a nasty person,
Yeah. Really.
then when they come across your page, they're not so likely to
Yeah.
look at it or listen to what you have to say.
And that is how it works. But I mean, if you want to say I'm nasty, I I'm sorry, it just makes me laugh to think that somebody thinks I have that much influence. I mean, I'm affecting his people. Like, if I'm being compassionate towards his mods and his admin, which I am, really compassionate towards them, because they don't deserve what I'm sure they go through, right? Especially right now. And I just hope.
Question, Lizzie, I have a question for somebody in the chat. Nosy Nana,
Yeah.
is she still a mod, right? That's Sheila.
Yeah.
Sheila, I have to ask you, how are you still there, and why are you still there when you know that he asked me to remove you as a moderator several times? And you
He
know that.
asked both of us, and we used to have arguments. No, we can't. We better not. Or, yeah, that's the truth.
I felt sorry for her because she was, and the reason why, the first reason why he wanted her out was because she was emailing back and forth with Martin Dehan. And he wanted her out. And Sheila, you know that. We've told you that. And knowing the things that you know that he did while we were there, I mean, I'm getting emotional just even thinking about it. Like, you know what he did. You know what he lied about. How can you still be there? I don't understand it. Can you answer that?
And see, I can't see chat.
I can only partly see it, but
And I don't have anything against Sheila. She's
no,
always
me neither. I chat.
Me neither. She's a nice person. But I did see your comment saying they didn't have to pay. Yes, I did. I had to sign because I got felt
She
guilty.
also said that Mo removed Frankie from the chat. Mo wasn't even there during that time. So I just wanted to stick up for Maureen on that, because she wasn't there during that time when Frankie was removed from the chat.
That's right. Mo wasn't there because I think she heard about it, or people were contacting her.
Yeah.
But I've got the proof that
the reason we were told to remove all those comments and to remove anybody saying anything about Frankie is because they said it was disturbing the guest and disturbing the topic of the show.
And that's the truth.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
why
but there shouldn't have been any. Should have allowed Frank. I've got every comment that Frankie made and Frank.
They wasn't bad.
With it, nothing wrong with it. Nothing should have been done. They should have just been
it's
allowed
just
to
that
stay
he
in there.
wanted it removed if it had anything distracting the show. And
well, he created the problem, and he blamed everybody else as usual. Always blames somebody.
Yes.
But that said about Nosy Nana, Sheila, I totally understand what Chris and Robin are saying. If you'd have, that's sad that he would do that to you. In fact, you know, there's one other issue where he's done that with somebody else, and I think you're involved here too, Chris, is when it came to Dr. B, and then what's her name? I can't remember her name. Golly, she was a friend of the family, I think, and she was going to give him lots of information, but she didn't want. Dr. B and her didn't get along, and so he wanted to get rid of Dr. B rather than
after all that time and everything that she had done for him and went to bat for him and did all of those shows with him. He just threw her away like a piece of trash because he thought he could get better information, and that's what he wanted to do. And
were you involved in that, Chris? I know you were talking about it at one point.
Involved in
trying to get rid of Dr. B?
No, I put a stop to it. Robin can tell you that.
That's what I'm saying. You knew about it at the time.
Yes, because it was a big discussion against amongst the moderators, and I was like, absolutely not. We're not going to just block her and remove her after everything that she's done.
Exactly.
So
He
yeah,
just
Let it
wants
There's
the
a
only
lot of
things that.
would happen
Oh,
because they weren't right. It was really wrong, and that's one thing that people don't understand that the moderators were going through. And I do wonder and question: are the moderators now? Are they going through that? Is there a distrust where get rid of this one, get rid of that one? This one's talking to so and so, and we don't need that, so we need to get. I wonder if that's going on, and they don't realize how that's going to affect them. And
well,
once they
it's
realize manipulation, he's doing these cases and everything, but it's not really about the cases for him. He adds other stuff into it to get the money to do what he needs to do.
yeah, and he's I guess he's upset because Chicken Lady helped me get the Maddie issue down, so he knows that I was in contact with her for that, and it's probably really troubling him that's the case, because he likes to keep this wall around everybody. He doesn't want any of his supporters, any of his admin, knowing what any of us think. I mean, they might be watching now. I hope they are. And I really hope that he's not creating something for them, which they don't realize yet. Just with you and Robin, you didn't realize until after you'd left that it was going to affect you so much, right?
Right.
So I'm hoping that he's not creating that issue with his current admin. I know Chicken Lady's been sick, so she has.
That he actually cares about them. I hope that
Yeah.
because he doesn't. You all could leave today and he could care less.
And he would try to pin Kevin against us against Kevin.
Didn't he blame Kevin for one of the hacking?
Yes, he did.
He blamed his own admin for hacking him.
And then he would tell somebody something, and then he would tell us a whole different thing. And so then we'd be mad at that somebody. And then it just became to where, we all started a fight in there. It wasn't.
I know. Yeah.
It was just a big mess. And everybody can watch who they want and who they like and support who they want, but at least know that not everything is factual in the truth. It's spun into a whole different way, and it can suck you in, and then you start believing it. And Shirley, we don't dislike you at all, not at all, but I wonder why you're still there too, knowing he wanted you gone so badly. And I seen one of your comments that said, that's a lie. They didn't have to pay. Well, I did, because how that worked out is
Mike said the same, but I think it's changed now, Robin. I think when they do Patreon now, I don't believe they have to pay. So that's how it is now. But back then, I know Mike used to make me laugh because he wouldn't mod for him in Patreon because he wasn't going to pay his $1.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even lucky to get the $1. I was in the $10 slot because all the 1s and 5s were gone. And then the link got taken away from us because I was honest and told him that there's certain people that can't afford and they're big supporters. So he made it so we couldn't have the link. And then he came up with a great idea for the other supporters to buy a membership or pay for their Patreon.
Pay for a second person.
Exactly.
So
Because
that
we did something good, but he did
he
something
was
good that we
making the
were
money.
doing.
He was making that money rolling in. You know, she pays $10. I tell you what, if you sponsor somebody else and give $20, another person will be able to come in and watch me.
And the
No,
worst
it
thing was,
I
I
get the
was
$20.
known as the link lady. Like, I didn't know how to post links other than the Patreon, and I had that down pat. And he wanted me to do it every 2 to 3 minutes, and I didn't want to. And then it got to the point to where he would push it and have this exciting story coming up 2 days before the new month came. So these poor people were paying their 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 things so they could that month, thinking, okay, next month's paid, I won't get billed until the next 28th or the 27th.
Yeah,
And then
they
they
had to
got
pay.
billed again. So then what did we do, Chris? We fought to give them their money back. Remember that?
I do
And
remember.
yeah, and he had the people who did want their money back. He even, you'll find it, Lizzie, on one of your tapes, where he says not very many people wanted their money back, but those who wanted a refund, I did refund them their money.
Yeah.
So we fought. Like, our number one concern was the friends that we had made in chat, and
Yeah.
That
we cared for them. We truly, truly cared for them. And we had one, I couldn't, Harley Chick, I think that's what her name was. And something had happened, and she was at the $10 tier, and something happened, and she had been paying and can't get into Patreon. Remember that, Chris? And we'd keep asking him to fix it and fix it. And they kept taking money, taking money, taking money. She couldn't even get into the Patreon. And so we'd beg him to please fix it, fix it, fix it. Even Emma tried to fix it, and she couldn't fix it. She
He said-
couldn't. He made her re-sign back up. So then she had two. That's how dedicated she was. She had two of them. One that she paid for that she couldn't get into, and then the other one. And I hope she's doing well. I do miss the subs. I'll tell you that part. I do miss
Yeah,
all the subs.
it must be tough for you leaving. And I've always said, you know, when it comes, a lot of people don't agree with me, but for me, I believe for the majority of the time, they're nice people and they really believe what they're doing. And the mods and admin, the same as yourself, when you were doing it, you wanted to do the best thing you could. And I believe that's what they're doing too. They don't realize.
But one day they will. I can't say one day because Shirley's still there. And if she's happy there, then she's happy there. And it's not for me or for Chris to
Yeah,
decide.
she's got her friends in that. But it's
Of
so
course she does. And that was the hardest part for me,
Yeah.
too, is leaving those people and then having them dislike me because I had left. And I didn't know what he had said about me, but I had seen that comments about how rotten I was to him from some of the subs that I loved the most and cared for the most. And that was heartbreaking. I wonder if he still has the same subs. You know, like I say, I
don't
never
think
went
there's
back.
too many left. There's one thing I think that everybody needs to realize. Sometimes when things get overwhelming, like, you know, maybe his subs are feeling, or his admin are feeling overwhelmed right now, because I'm sure there's so much going on behind the scenes because of the court case and his demands and everything else. And there's one little graphic I'm just going to put on, just so you start to relax and take it all in and start to see things for what they really are. Sometimes you need time away to sort things out in your head. Makes everything clearer. And I think it's important for actually everybody who feels stressed to be able to do that. And
so important. If you step away and look back, it's painful at times to look back, but as I've always said, and this has been my motto ever since I was a little girl. If we didn't go through bad things, we would never, ever appreciate all the good.
Yeah.
And
Life is precious.
it is
You know,
so precious.
I think I've always loved life. I try to surround myself with happy. I know that sounds stupid, and I know everybody like thinks I'm
It doesn't
weird.
sound stupid, because after I came out of this, that was part of my growing process.
Yeah.
And instead of looking at things negatively, I have to, in fact, for over a year, I was taught to write at least 5 good things that happened that day, and find all the positive things. And I still have this tons of notebooks of all the positive things that I have in my life, rather than look back at the negative. But there's one thing I did want to say, that, and this is to stick up for, she's passed away, God bless her heart. But I was just new and became a moderator in the Facebook chat. And the lady is the one who found the shadows. I can't remember her name.
Diane.
Yeah, she did. And I remember we were asked to remove that post, and it got removed.
Who asked you to remove that post? Was it AD?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I can't remember if it was me who ended up doing it. We had another lady from England that was modding. I can't remember her name. I can't.
He has
Who?
made his channel. He gained 30,000 subs back in the first couple of months, first 3 months, or 4 months in 2019, because to this day he still claims, well, up until maybe last week or so, I found the shadows. Now, and occasionally he will say, I was the first one to put the shadows on a video. No, you weren't.
No, it was Diane. She had put it in the book, in the face group, and says, "Hey, AD, would you take a look at this? I think I see somebody else walking back." And I can't remember if it was me who deleted it.
Shadow by the wheel. But I recall there was a Stay Informed video, which was December the 18th, I think. His video was on January the 10th. So on December the 18th, there was a Stay Informed video. And I went back over 5,000 comments, which really gummed up my computer, but I was determined to get right down to the beginning. And there was lots of threads on there. And you were also on there, Country Cowgirl. Talking about the shadows and
Wasn't I? No, I was Armchair Detective's #1 fan, wasn't I, back then?
well, no, this was December. This was before he really got into the Watts case. This was at the very beginning, December of 2018. When the actual CCTV came out, and Stay Informed had a great long video. In fact, that's the one he uses. He uses that video, but there was some threads on there which were lengthy, discussing. I think it had timestamps on it. That was at that time. It told about the timestamps, but there was a big discussion about the shadow under the wheel, and you were part of it. I know I've asked you before and you'd forgotten, but you were part of this big long thread in December, and he claims he found it a month later, and he's made all his money. He's made a heck of a lot of money.
And see, at first I had thought he had looked over her stuff, and then he found stuff that she didn't find. But he would have never seen none of it if he wouldn't have ever got that information. I believe that with all my heart.
She actually found the shadow by the wheel. That was her thing, and that was in December. That was on the thread. She was talking about carrying a baby and all this other stuff, but the shadow under the wheel was on that thread too, and that's what he took and ran with, and that's where he made his money, and that's where he got his subs. You know, those 100,000 subs or whatever he's got, that don't even hang around him. And I mean, in
Oh, is he up to that much now?
no, he's up to 80 something. But he claims 80, and then with the red are probably still the same subs that are on the blue, and a Facebook group. He claims he's got 100,000, and they support him, and they know they support what he says. No, they don't. They probably don't even remember you exist.
I think part of those subs are
years ago.
were subs, and they just haven't cleaned out and deleted the.
No, of course, because in his Patreon, which he used to have 1,500 to 2,000 patrons, which would have amounted at that time, because they were pretty much all paying at that time $10. That's when he was getting 15 to 20,000 a month. That was in March of 2021. And that was around the letters time. He was clickbaiting with the letters.
Oh, yes, he was. Oh, boy.
He had 400 letters, and he ultimately had one. And it was the lady who gave him the letters that he wanted and wanted to get rid of Dr. B. And
that wasn't that Heather? Was it Heather?
No, not Heather. The one that's a friend of the family, a blonde lady.
I can't. Gosh, I remember that somebody had him or something, but I don't remember why he. I don't. All I know is that we left because there was arguing amongst us, and we were a tight clique, and it's really sad that. I should be reaching out to Mo and to Chris and to Emma and to all of them and keeping in touch, because they were such a big part of my life.
And that's what I was saying, I try to surround myself with happy, and I love every day. I love silly things like, not silly, but things like the grass grow. And I think some of that may come with age, because I'm 73.
It does. It does. It comes with age. We appreciate stuff more than we ever did. Ever. And it's maturity. It's the maturity in us.
But I've always felt the same. But I've just realized, and I didn't know, that it's our Belinda stand up. It's her birthday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Belinda.
I'm not going to sing because...
Isn't she the one? I think we had gone, but I seen it on somebody's clip where she called in and said,
yeah.
Well, I was just wondering.
Yeah, but that was Nosy Nana who was on that video too.
I laughed and laughed and laughed. Yeah, I didn't see it on his channel. Somebody had cut the clip out of it and posted something like he got called out or something like that. It was funny. Cujo? No. No.
Chris, can you remember the actual reason that you felt you really had to leave? And was it just you, or were there others involved at the same time?
The actual reason that I finally left is because it was just a progression of seeing all the lies that he was telling on the Watts case and all the exclusives that he had. Supposedly, he was always having an exclusive, but it would just be the same, old thing that he was always doing. But the last straw for me was, I think, the letters, because there was a lot of confusion about that. We couldn't figure out where all those pages of the letters were.
Yeah, the 400. And I played a video last.
Come on. Come on.
Oh, you scared me.
Sorry.
Okay. Whatever you say.
Get up there in that house. Get up there.
I hope that's the dog you're talking to and not a little 2-year-old.
Oh, you guys, I'm sorry. I had to go chase after. Oh my gosh, the dog went after. I opened up the door to get a package, and my daddy's little dog, the little teacup poodle that weighs 1.5 pounds, went after the UPS man.
went
And I
after the
forgot
what?
to turn off the speaker.
She went after the what?
The UPS man.
Oh, a little pound dog goes up.
Oh, and he has such a big truck, and here she is the size of a rat. And I told him, please don't go. You'll run over. But yeah, now I'm out of breath. I'm not
Okay,
as young as I used to be.
we'll let you calm down there. So take a few breaths there, and maybe Chris. Chris, were you telling? Oh, you were saying it was about the letters. Did other people leave with you at the same time, Chris?
Yes, we all left at the same time. All of us left.
How many of you?
Robin, you're gonna have to help remember this.
We both left. Okay, so Kevin had,
3
you and I left exactly at the same time.
and
You and I. And who?
Peggy.
Oh, yes. I love Peggy. I still do. I hope she's okay. Me, you, and Peggy. And did Emma leave? I think a little bit after.
I think
Yeah.
Emma went and then came back again, or whatever.
Yeah, but we left. We had, when I say it consumed our life, we were on the phone talking all the time about what we are going to do. It just didn't happen like overnight.
Yeah, it takes a while.
It took a lot. It did take a whole lot. And then you see the pain in the family's face and in their voice. And my number one thing was to get forgiveness from them.
Yeah,
And I couldn't move on until they forgave me, and they did.
yeah.
I mean, a lot of people haven't forgiven me, but
It's going to happen. There is nobody in this life that are not going to have people that don't like them. I mean,
and you know what? I don't care, because that's all that I cared. I didn't do anything to. I apologize to all the people that. The one channel he called toilet paper, and it's because I haven't apologized to him because I don't know who he is. Like,
yeah, that's Chris. Yeah.
because I would say things that
Not you, Chris.
will be taunted to say things and go in and do things. Like, I was told to go attack, when I first started, Penelope Jones, and I didn't even know who she was.
What do you mean you were told to go and attack her?
To go in because she was saying something, and I don't even know what she was saying.
I think she was. I don't. It was right at the beginning of when I went over, and I think she was saying something about the Nicole Atkinson issue. But
I just remember I was told to go in there and tell her off, and I did. And I've Googled her several times trying to find her on YouTube, and I couldn't tell her how sorry I was for going in and saying that, and saying what I did to her.
yeah, well, as long as you feel it. And Chris, did you have anything similar like that you regret afterwards?
I just regret supporting him and his channel. And
How long were you there?
about a year.
Oh, wow. Yeah. This was when the subs didn't change a lot, right? It was the same subs all the time. So there was lots.
Yeah, the same ones that were so faithful. And then we get a few new ones, and then they became faithful. But I'm trying to think of the lady who we always used to tease and say, you're on the naughty step. Do you remember who she is, Chris?
No.
But yeah, there are so many of them.
There's a special one for Carrie. Carrie has her own naughty step, right? Carrie, see, we have to keep putting you on there. Anyway, sorry, I was just talking.
Yeah, there were just so many, and then it got to a point. I don't know if you remember this, Chris, but we shouldn't be talking to the subs because it's taking away from listening to him. Do you
Oh.
remember that? That
I
we
see that.
that us mods shouldn't be chatting back and forth with the subs. And in fact, he even got mad at the subs one time for talking to each other
Yes.
and not paying
He's done that.
attention to
He's
what he
done
was
that quite
saying.
Quite. I'm sorry. He's just beyond words when it comes to stuff like that. Now, how it's going to go from here on, who knows? He should.
I wish him. I don't wish him any harm.
No,
and it
no.
took a long time to forgive him, and I've forgiven him because I can't hold that anger in my heart because that just tortures me more.
Oh yeah.
But
No.
I've forgiven him, but I'm smart enough to know never to go back to that.
Forgiving gives you the power, because otherwise he would have the control over you for the rest of your life if you haven't forgiven him.
I had to, and it took almost 2 years, almost 2 years to do that. But I don't wish him to be behind bars.
I don't think anybody wishes him physical harm.
No.
All of these so-called threats, they are not real.
Oh, and we believed it at first because, like we would say, do not remember, Chris, we were talking to him and telling him lock Winston in the bathroom, because if somebody does that prank call and say that you're in danger, what's it called? Swatting. He was afraid he was going to get swatted. So I know I told him to put Winston in the bathroom, because if Winston's protective, you don't want your dog to go after and be shot.
Was that around the time that Mummy Ramblings got swatted?
Yep, it was.
Okay. Well, let me tell you that I think the following night or whatever, he was scared to go out of his house or whatever. But you know where he was safe?
At the casino.
He was safe in Bristol, in the restaurant and the casino. That's where he went when he was scared.
But here I was worried over nothing, and I would just tell him, take the dog back to your daughter, because in all reality, that's her dog, or was her dog. And, he'd get lonely, so he would pick up Winston whenever.
Winston. We've occasionally seen him, but I don't think he's.
And I was even friends with his daughter on Facebook, and we'd talk back and forth. But, Mike had told me that he had taken Winston and threw him, I guess, off his lap.
Oh, I saw that one. Yeah.
I was really upset. And so I texted her and said, I want you to know that Winston, your dad threw Winston. Well, automatically she blocked me and wouldn't ever talk to me again. And so,
I saw that. He did that online on screen.
Yeah. And, just because you're in a bad mood, you don't take it out on an innocent animal.
Yeah.
So I did do that, but
So is there anything else that you think we need to hear from you, either of you, before
the only thing I can say is please take everything he says with a grain of salt and don't take it seriously. I don't know what case he's on now. But if it's anything like the Watts case, I still believe he'll finagle stuff or switch stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And even if he's doing the Nicola Bully case right now. Now, I don't know what happened to her. She is dead. She did pass away.
I've never even heard of her.
But I don't know the intricacies, and I don't need to, because she's passed and it will come out. But he's got, I don't know, there's others that have their thing, but to say some of the things he does, like I say, I record, I don't always listen, so I really can't comment on the actual case. I just know that
now I did see with his painting, I can't remember which channel I got a notification, but he had painted the walkway and the bench.
Yeah,
I guess this person was killed around there, and I thought that was so disrespectful to the family that he painted.
Horrible. I mean, you have such trigger points, and you weren't even a victim of one of the crimes that he goes on about. You were a victim of working for him. And you get
Yeah.
triggered.
And like I say, it wasn't verbal abuse, or it wasn't nothing to do like that. It was the lies, the pressure, the stress, and then when us mods started to argue and fight, and
Yeah.
it wasn't worth it.
No.
It wasn't worth it anymore. And
Yeah. And you all thought you were doing the right thing. I mean,
we
even
all
him, I'm
gave,
sure his mods and his admin believe that whatever they do for him is the right thing.
and I really believed that Frankie was attacking him at that time, that he was, getting the emails and threats from Frankie. And so I got mad, and I did say one time, because I was told that AD had a photo of him. And I did say that, and I regret it. And that's why I begged humbly for his forgiveness and the family's forgiveness, because that's the only one thing that I ever did say that I should have never done it. I should have never ever done it.
Well, I think you've come to the part where you've apologized, they've accepted it, and you have to move
And
on.
I've moved on, and I've been able to move on. And
You can't
like,
allow it to affect you anymore.
no,
And what I want to do, which you've given me inspiration for, because she does need a voice. Diane needs a voice. And when we come to the end here, I'm going to play you Diane, and the proof that whatever you hear AD saying about he found the shadows, just look at this in her own voice.
she found it first.
This was Aussie Life. And I've seen Aussie Life has been around lately. I haven't been able to contact, but Aussie Life captured it and changed it and enhanced. And to hear her voice, knowing she's now gone, and AD saying he's the big one. Sorry, Diane is what it's all about, not you. And do you know what? I think if everybody knows that Diane was the one who found the shadows,
That is the truth, though. That is 100% truth.
He will still try and convince everybody he wasn't. He will never, ever, ever admit to it. But for those that are watching and who do understand and hear Diane's voice, see, I always end up like this. And to know that she passed away, but we are her voice now. And this is why I'm going to play this before we go. But Chris, is there anything else that you want to put in before we go?
Just that I'm glad that I got out of there and that I've been able to move on with my life, and I have a great life now, and I did before that too, but I'm just glad, to be moved on from it and not have to deal with any of it anymore.
Yeah.
Amen.
And that happens after you leave. It doesn't happen during the time you're there for you to logically think anything, because I think you're so drawn into everything.
Well, the first thing is you begin to love him like a brother or a father, or at the beginning, in that kind of love, not like the physical attraction or
well, I don't
like
know.
that.
I think there's a lot that do, and I mean, he's
there he is. We used to accidentally get the emails of all the women that would send naked pictures to him.
Oh,
Yeah,
I heard about those.
but I like not. But you get to know a person at the beginning, and I'm very trusting. Am I that trusting now? No,
Yeah,
I am not. But
well, I'm 5 years older than he is.
And he calls you old, like what? So what? We age gracefully. Who cares if we're old?
Yeah, well, he calls me the old idiot old lady or whatever.
Well, so what? You know what? I'm proud to be old. I'm proud to be a grandmother. I'm proud of my wrinkles, and I'm proud of my gray hair. So that's no insult. That's part of life. And
yeah, but we're lucky to be here, and I'm so lucky to there's one thing, and it's really totally unrelated in a sense, but it's totally related because it's the reason I am here right now. And that is thanks to Maureen when I was doing some lives with her. And when we stopped doing them, I decided you can have too much Lizzie, and I wasn't going to do any more lives on my channel. And then I was talking to somebody, and he was telling me about one of his friends. This was the Maddie channel, who really was enjoying the Maddie videos that I did. And he didn't have long to live. So because of Chris, rest in peace, Chris, I continued doing these lives. Well, not these, the Maddie lives. And ultimately, I didn't think I'd be able to do them because I had a couple of mini strokes. So I often forget my words. You know, I search for words, or if I can't remember it, I'll go around the houses and come up with it in another way. But it got really embarrassing.
Yeah, I know how you feel with that. I had too many, well, 3.
Yeah.
And now I have to have heart surgery. I have to have a new valve put in my heart. And so like, yeah, like I totally understand. The words want to come out,
well,
but they come out a different way, or sometimes you can't even get them out.
Well, Shirley was helping me, and I couldn't even remember her name.
Yeah, I told Chris before we come on, I just don't remember much of back then anymore. But there's a few things that stuck out, and if you would bring them up, I'd probably remember even more. But the one thing sticks out more than anything is the letters and the shadows. Those are the 2 main things that sticks out.
Well, because of that, I think I want to thank you both for being here. I know that you've got to run off, Chris. And
well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I hope we've helped somebody today.
I think it's the other way around. I think I'm hoping that others will, some that are helping him right now, will start to at least think. They don't have to do anything. Just think about alternatives. And
he could do so much good. He has the personality to do it. He could. I mean,
he's an
he
addicted
won't.
gambler. I mean, you have to have money.
When you have an addiction, it's hard to break that addiction, and it's like a drug. You will you'll do anything to get the money, to get what you need.
But
so
he's see, I was going somewhere then, and I lost it. I'd start singing, but you wouldn't want to hear me. No, I remember now. As I was saying, I want, ultimately, I hope that my Facebook group, which is called No Hate, just to expose Armchair Detective's lies, and it said, I can't remember it exactly, but not everything that you're told is there to hurt you. Sometimes it's the truth, and that's. I hope that, and
the truth hurts at
about
times.
members, because for the most part they're so good and they sit on their hands. And I've just remembered happy birthday, Lottie. I saw it earlier, and I've also
Lottie Martin. Is Lottie Martin in here?
I don't know. And also, Revy reminded me it was David Carter was the bloke. But yeah, I'm really proud of our members because most of them sit on their hands and, you know, they try and be respectful, because I don't want our group to be something that he takes. And that's probably why he hasn't used it a lot, because there's not a lot he can do, because it's the truth.
It's the truth. You put out facts
based on his own comments. So I hope that and the admin and everybody else, his subs, if they ever get to hear this, that they'll start to think, you know what, he should show them more respect. I think I sometimes think, how can he do that? There's no respect. I mean, he went off to Malta was it Malta or Madrid? He didn't even tell his subs where he was, his admin where he was going. I mean, they're there for him all
I
the
think
time.
back in their mind, they
And
know
that's-
where he's going. We all knew where he was going.
Yeah, well, whatever. But anyway, I think we should call it a day right now. I so appreciate you both coming on. And I want to finish with something, like I say, that you inspired me with, is Diane's version in her own words as to why she was the original Shadow Lady. And I don't want to disrespect Cece and Bella by just using the shadows. These are two little girls.
Beautiful little girls.
Yeah. I hope that isn't what we're looking at. We're looking at his claim, I found the shadows. And he didn't. And it's Diane, and you can hear her in her own words tell you that she found them. And everybody knows now. Everybody knows that AD's lying when he says he found them. She found them. And I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I want to thank, oh golly, Shirley, you weren't here. I want to thank everybody for joining me today, and everybody who was being a mod. I have no idea who was. I don't know who's been here. I've seen the odd little comment, but I do appreciate you being here. And we will be back some other time. And as I say, the court case is going on. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what is asked of him or what he's going through. We just know that he's demanding money from everybody. And one thing we don't know, he may be in Malta, because indications are that he is. But then again, we have no proof, so we can't say he is. But in half an hour, we may find out. So I'm going to leave you with Diane. Rest in peace, Diane, and thank you for what you did. Bye-bye, everyone.
Good night,
Robin.
everybody.
Bye-bye, Chris. And bye-bye, everybody. Oh, I just see Super Chaffers there. Okay, that money was for poker, yeah. Oh, and yeah, there's so many there, and I haven't been able to see. I'm bad. Shirley usually keeps me in line, but she's not here today. So anyway, this is Diane. Rest in peace, Diane. If and when I hit the right button.
I was a member of Armchair Detective's Facebook page, and so I sent my video and my timelines to AD, as the interview could see what I could see. I got no reply, and so I sent it again. I still got no reply. Computer went down right before Christmas. Imagine my surprise when I got my computer fixed and went onto AD's channel, and saw him bragging about how he had found the shadows, and how he's got 30,000 subscribers.
But they can't understand it. Why the Armchair Detective's got nearly 30,000 subscribers in 4 months. That's why here. What's he doing? What's he doing? He found the shadows. That's what he did. When you have the DA from Colorado quoting you.
I was blown away. I'd work non-stop watching Nate's video, frame by frame.
I had a big Facebook group. Oh, look, Chris Watts is carrying a baby out. And that was the shadows they're on about. I'm the only one that knows a shadow under the truck. The shadows. No one saw it. Not one person. I found the shadow under the truck. One of the children was still asleep. They both died in their beds. They were both smothered. So they were in bed. I think he's killed the girls before she got back and placed them in such a way, maybe on the sides or whatever, that it just looked like they were sleeping. This comes from my shadows video that was on the 10th of January. 10th of January. The first ever showing of any shadows under the truck anywhere in the world, contrary to people saying they found it first. The shadows they're on about is him carrying somebody. I found the shadow under the truck. Chris Watts is carrying a baby out. I'm the only one that knows a shadow under the truck. Things that were found on the internet was somebody carrying a baby. It was under the truck shadows that I saw.
This sent me into a downward spiral of depression of which I'm still under. As the imagery could see what I could see. As the imagery could see what I could see.
Keep your eye under the truck. Yes, that's what you saw.
I just want to say before I go that it was thanks to Val from Truth Be Told, or who is Truth Be Told, for that portion of the video, and to Aussie Life for doing the original video. And I was talking to myself when I was trying to introduce it because it had cut me off. So thanks so much, and thanks everybody, and have a great night or morning or whatever. So I have to find, bye-bye.